race car shit.
So loud. I like it.
Man, that car is looking good. Hey, Matt at Caliber Customs here. Decided to make a few videos for you guys, throw them up on YouTube, showcasing some of the unique cars that we've built. We've seen a lot of interest, people wanting to know details of what's involved in building something like this, why we do certain things certain ways. And so we decided let's put together some nice little videos for people to watch and kind of see why we do things and the details of what it takes to build a car like this. So we'll start off just giving a history of the car. This started off as a BMW 318 IS. Rolled in here with a 4-cylinder motor still running, and we gutted it all out, put a roll cage in it, threw a LS1 in there out of a, I think it was a 2000 Camaro. Just kept a basic NA build, and eventually we wide bodied it, went through a few different suspension changes, started off with some ground control Coney shocks, and then eventually got the best coilovers we could get, which is the KW EXR series, the competition series. And the last go around of this evolution was putting a sleeved LS2 in there with a supercharger. So we have a centrifugal supercharger on it, and I'll start opening it up and showing you guys. Yeah, I'll start off with the engine bay. So here's the Vortec V7 JTB, so it's the billet wheel. I think it's good for probably about 1,200 horsepower or so. We're only running at about 7 PSI right now, if I remember right. It's making about 670 to the wheels. It is one of the LS2s that was sleeved by ERL. And so now we swapped camshafts, put it into time attack duty. We switched all of the plumbing over to Brown and Miller Racing. Best hoses you could buy, super flexible, super light, really high pressure ratings. You can see how these things just contour with everything. It's lovely to work with these hoses. Definitely worth the extra money. Here's the KW EXR series competition coilovers. 3-way adjustable, so we got our low speed, high speed. We kind of went overboard with the cooling because we wanted to make sure that he had the ability to do that. So down here we have a Bell intercooler core that we made the intake for here in-house, and it's good for 2,000 horsepower. So his intake temps are basically 10 to 15 degrees over ambient. So super cool on the intake temps. We did end up running 2 radiators. So he has one full-size aluminum radiator, and then we used basically like a supercharger heat exchanger for like the intercooler setup, and we ran his heater core circuit through that. So basically it's like we have his heater core up here in front, so the water pump's pumping through both of those. And then big old set trap oil cooler, it's basically this tall, so his oil temps never really get over like 200, 210 degrees is the highest we've seen. Power steering cooler. Lots of coolers on the front end of this, so we definitely did add a lot of weight. So far it's been running great. Everybody's been working good on it. Haven't got a whole lot of track time, but we're hoping to get a lot more here pretty soon. We did have to open up the headlight covers, try to get some more air flowing across the oil cooler there. His air filter is over on this side, so this is allowing some fresh air in here as well as here. These are his brake ducts. Riveted those in, and we have the ducting go up around the front to the spindle there. Race grade harness, all built in-house. Mil spec, TIFZ L32 wiring, Ray Kim DR25. If you see this little black ice logo, that's something that goes back to the origins of this car. When he first picked it up for us to LS swap it, turn it into a track car, it had one of those little air fresheners hanging from the mirror. It said black ice. And so from that day forward, we always refer to this one as the black ice. Long tube headers were built here in-house. Steve built those. He's not a stranger to fitting some long tube headers into tight spaces. This right here, this is
where I smoke my marijuana out of. It's got a little filter on it. Don't tell nobody. Boss gets mad.
He made it work. They're merge collectors down on the bottom. We do have something pretty unique going on here. So basically this is kind of operating as a degas tank. And then this is the overflow for the degas tank. We are running the Evans waterless coolant, and it's real thick like a gel. So we had this on the exit side of the pump originally, and pressures would get really high under high RPM. Because the coolant was so thick, we kept blowing coolant out. And so we ended up switching it over to the suction side of the pump in order to minimize the pressure that the degas tank would see. So one of those things that trial and error, we tested it out, realized we had a problem, and had to kind of change the design a little bit. So Race Tech 4119, tilt and pedal box, bias bars adjustable on the fly. We did put a steering quickener in there. If you see at the bottom of the column, he was having a tough time getting through the button hook without crossing his hands. So, okay, here's something I wanted to show you guys. So we do have the exhaust coming out the side here. And I don't know if you can see it with the lighting, but this is a faux tip, and the actual exhaust tip is in here. And so we left some room around that for a couple of reasons. One, obviously for heat transfer. And two, we actually built tunnels on the inside. And the way that this tip is recessed, it is designed to create a scavenging effect to pull cool air around this. So as the exhaust pulses come out, it pulls air from around the tip because of the scavenge effect, and it sucks it in through the hole on the inside in order to kind of keep that tunnel cool, keep interior temperatures down as much as we can. The wide body started off as a kit from DTM, and it was not wide enough, so we had to widen it. Up here in the front, you'll see that we basically fit it on there, and then we cut away everything we had to cut away. And then the fiberglass shop made a mold of the rear, and this is actually a mold of the rear fender fiberglassed into the front. These canards we made in-house. They're made out of aluminum, pretty sturdy. Fiberglass, the whole front end's now one piece, it's all molded together. Basically made this out of carbon fiber, just kind of pieces that we riveted together. He's got rev match downshifting on one switch. This switch just turns on his USB charger right here to charge his external GPS. This knob is his 10-position rotary switch that's hooked up with the M-Tron to where we can basically have that fine-tune anything we want. And right now it fine-tunes his traction control. So he basically has 10 different maps for traction control, and he can adjust them on the fly, change those around. So here's the dry sump. It's I don't remember the brand. Can't remember what it's called. We normally run a Peterson, but they were backed up and we couldn't get one in time, so we switched. I think it's Atra or something like that. So that's the sight glass that we welded on. So with the engine up to temp, we can confirm that our oil level is correct. Got our oil temp sensor there. Got dual filters on the return side. Keep the oil as clean as possible. Any debris that might be coming in gets filtered out. So there's our access to that. That's pretty much all we got going on in here. So I'll talk a little about the aero. We are running the APR wing with the singular end plates. The diffuser is something we made in-house. It's made out of Alumilite. And this was one of our early versions. We thought it'd be really cool if we have a contour instead of just a flat one like one of our prior versions. And so we ended up making the fins on the CNC laser, and we have a contour in those. It's a bit of a job getting it up in the air. Maybe it's time to get some air jacks on this bad boy.
I've been saying that for a while now.
Mike, you're not doing your job.
No, I just am getting yelled at on the internet.
What'd you do?
By everyone.
What'd you do?
I got on the internet, that's what I did.
There's your mistake.
There's your problem. Top floor.
So one thing we didn't talk about yet is she's got some pretty big tires. So we're running a 345, 35 in the rear, and then up front we're running a 335, 30. Now fitting that tire in the front proved a lot of challenges because it's still a McPherson strut car. And so in order to clear the spring and not get a massive scrub radius, we had to get kind of creative with how we spaced the spindle off of the strut. And so when KW made these inverted monotubes for us, they ended up machining the required spacers that we needed to get all that corrected, and then the bump steer and roll centers have both been corrected with our bump steer kit. And then these control arms, I don't remember the brand, but I think they were from someone out of Virginia, I want to say. This is like one of the first ones that they made. They were building it for drift cars, and so it's a chromoly tube. It's held up to a few years of abuse and haven't had any problems with it. Super light. Has plenty of room for the tire to turn. So you can see here the whole undercar is flat. The center section is aluminum, and we don't have it on right now, so we could show you guys the stuff. But there are several strategically placed NACA ducts to apply airflow where we see it necessary. So one of the areas is the O2 sensors. So we don't want the O2 sensors overheating with extended sessions, and so we actually have a NACA duct here that kind of keeps air going on these. We're running heat sink bungs as well, so that kind of helps keep those guys in check. All the exhaust is wrapped, insulated with ceramic fiber in key areas. Right here's our trans and diff cooler. When the center section on, it has a gurney flap that just barely sticks down right here, just kind of help pull some of that air out. The ducts that we showed you on the interior blow down on top of these. One of the things that we had to battle with the stainless steel exhaust getting super hot is it does grow. And so we had to make some slotted hangers that are on a sliding bushing. And if you look at the exhaust tips when the engine's or when the car is cold compared to when they're hot, you'll see them kind of move back. And so in order for all the exhaust growing to compensate for that, these had to be on sliders. And it moves quite a bit. It's really surprising. Got some Achilles Motorsports control arms and the Achilles Motorsports tie-down hooks. Make it easier to put in the trailer. We do have a custom sway bar installed that's built in-house. It is adjustable in the front. It's on pillow block bearings. So with the V8 and the dry sump and the supercharger and all the stuff going on, there's not a whole lot of room for oil lines. And so this is actually the main feed off the dry sump. And obviously we want to keep oil lines as far away from the exhaust as possible. In this situation, this was what we had to work with. And so because this was a little closer than what I felt comfortable with, this is actually a piece of 304 stainless tubing that is using a Brown and Miller weld nipple attachment to where it adapts to a hose once it goes on the other side. So you have a short hose to attach to the bottom of the tank, TIG welded stainless tube that's all mandrel bent up to the front there, and then it adapts to a hose again once it gets past the exhaust. So obviously stainless steel can handle heat without failure a lot better than a Teflon hose can, and so that's why we decided to run that stainless tubing through this section here, and then we still have vibration and strain relief on each end so that we don't have to worry about the tube cracking from fatigue over time. Alright, what was I going to say again? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll plan on putting together a lot more videos like this, going over some of the details of other cars that we've built. So I know a lot of people are interested in the details that go into building stuff like this and the evolution of it. So if you guys like this type of content, go ahead and subscribe and get notifications of when the next video pops up, and we'll keep making them. Peace out.
Peace out.
I just went with it, Steve. Felt natural.
This right here is a I'm talking about race car shit. I'm doing hood rat stuff. Leave me alone.